Ladies and gentlemen, I have another Flashback Friday here for you. All the way back on the 18th of August, we had a 2 versus 2 played with SYPIAC, Benno, 3Crow, and Hamster. I hope you guys are excited about this one. I know some people have been asking me about 2v2s, and, people wonder, what's going on with them? Why aren't they being played more often? Sometimes they are played, but these days I think most people just go for FFAs if there's a lot of people involved. Like if you get 4 people, people usually go FFA. Sometimes there's more than 4 people. They don't usually go 3v3. They go like FFA on a map called Antechamber that I ported. It's like a port of Anti-Hunters. I can't remember the original author's name. So there's a couple of things that are like that. But, these are small details, right? And, it's just one of those things where as we get a little bit further along in the game with more people playing, I'm sure we'll see more team games as a result. But people are grinding out that 1v1. And even when they're playing with other people, like in terms of FFAs, non-standard player counts, they usually want to play 1v1 more than, solo play more than they want to do anything else. So kind of interesting there. We do have Benno here in the top left as what looks to be the perhaps the Palatinate Blue Protoss? No, it's just regular blue. Okay, I'm a little bit surprised about that, but yeah, it looked a little bit darker than than Palatinate. And we have SYPIAC down here as, I'm going to call this one the Electric Orange Terran, but it was Vivid Orange. And of course, Hamster over here has Celadon. No surprises there. That is his config color. This one looks to me like blood for 3Crow, but it was maroon. So, just gotten slightly wrong every single time. Classic move, except for Hamster. Hamster is the sole homie, so I hope he wins. I hope he wins, but after 3Crow gets annihilated. There was some talking back and forth. I will note 3Crow has like his anchor as his clan tag for this particular tournament, or this particular match rather. This wasn't a tournament. 2v2 tournament when, it could happen. More likely than you think. That being said, we do have 2-gate opener here for Benno. The typing was kind of funny. I think SYPIAC said something in public chat, and then 3Crow responded to that in public chat. Maybe they all said it in public chat. I don't really know what was going on with that one, but sometimes people forget to go open the messaging menu and then say send to allies. I think there might be a control keyboard modifier you can do, but I'm pretty sure you have to do I think it's the inverse, where you can do control enter and then it'll send a message to everybody. But there's nothing that would be by default sending it to, there's nothing that says oh yeah, you can only send it in the context of here's my, here's allied messages. I don't think there's any modifier like that. Now, it's actually a Cyprian first from Hamster. That's a bold strategy. And the Cyclops will come in here and finish that bad boy up. This is the old Cyclops, guys. This is the Cyclops that has quite a bit of power associated with it. This is when you could just spam them and win a lot of games. Now, this Vulture will not actually make it too far, unfortunately, because it stopped to attack. If 3Crow had just right-clicked into the main base, it probably would have been a little bit better at scouting, but we do see 3 Zealots out, and Aladdis is the follow-up here for Benno. That's kind of interesting. Lake is Anchor, by the way, is... I forgot to even finish that clan tag talk, but Lake is Anchor is basically saying you can put a Lakizalisk in an anchor and it will now shoot. That was previously not the case for a very long period of time, but I finally cracked the code around the time that this game was played. So that is what 3Crow is making reference to. This is, of course, the old patch, as mentioned, back in August, so quarries still make Masons. Embassies will still make Scribes, so we might see Benno do that later. Although neither player going for... No players, rather, going for expansions. We see 3Crow going for a 1-base triple Fulcrum build, and Hamster going for a 1-base triple Stockade build. As such is their opportunity. Covenant coming for SYPIAC. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. He's got a defensive formation. He does have to deal with a heavy number of Cyclops. I mean, heavy is maybe a strong word for 7, but still. The Protoss army should be defensive enough here. So it looks like Benno is essentially going to be the muscle here to keep SYPIAC protected while he adds, more tech power and scales up to a scarier army later on. But you can see that he's going to be threatened a little bit here. Obviously the Cyclops aren't going to be able to breach the anchor too well. They will probably end up looking for an alternative route. I guess there's some Hurricans out. I mean, there's a Hurrican. If you get Hurricans, they can absorb the damage from the Cyprians because they have 2 armor, and 2 armor blocks the penetrating shot. For those who are a little bit curious about how that works, basically you have to have greater armor penetration than the target's armor. And so Cyprians have 2 armor pen, and therefore anything with 2 armor or more will block it. Now, the pylon goes down. That is a little unfortunate for Benno, as he only had that 1 pylon. So he's going to lose some workers as well. And, you know, you can see Hamster moving on in here. That's going to force SYPIAC to unload his anchor and move some of his units out there. So, you know, that does get cleared out, but you saw the number of workers that died, right? That's like something like 7 workers dead. You know, the armies did get wiped, so I guess that's something. You know, maybe we can see a counterattack. That can be a little bit scary, especially the Protoss' army looks very, very good right now. And Hamster hemorrhaging a couple of units on the way out is not ideal either. Oh, yeah, fuck my ally Zealot. I don't know why that happened. And so, yeah, you know, SYPIAC is okay on this from a counter-push perspective. It looks like 3-Crow didn't macro up too many units behind that. He has switched into Goliaths, which take longer to make, so in fairness to him, that could have also been the case. But I feel like Benno and SYPIAC should have just immediately started attack moving across the map. Instead, SYPIAC's playing a little bit more defensively with adding more anchors to his ally. His ally can use these, by the way. You can use your ally's anchors by just right-clicking your units into them, and then you can unload them by clicking like the little key there. And then we obviously have the treasury coming online here for SYPIAC, so he'll be expanding. We saw Hamster already putting it down his ministry on location. He's going to be going after that worker count. 3-Crow with a random Mason in the top right. I assume that's going to be for some kind of hidden expansion at some point. Doesn't want to take his own natural. At least not yet. Going back into Cyclops and adding a stockade, I assume that will be for a Vestry add-on. There it is, just as I mentioned. And we've got the homies moving out here on the left-hand side. Looking at the worker count here, you can see Benno was hit pretty hard by that, but 3-Crow doesn't have a great worker count himself. He never made a quarry, and he never made an expansion, so those are kind of combining to make him much more of a player who's going to fall off militarily speaking the longer the game goes on. There's still definitely play here. As they're hunting around for the natural, they reveal the mech army. You do need to watch out for this. You can't actually engage onto that force. Instead, you want to be able to attack, focus your efforts on attacking this bio ball up here for Hamster. And it looks like, unfortunately, our left side team is kind of getting split up over here a little bit, right? We've got this engagement here between Benno and Hamster that would have gone a lot more swimmingly for the left side team if they had worked together on it. Meanwhile, 3-Crow's mech army has kind of kicked in to start working on the rest of this, but watch out, because Benno's army does end up getting on top of the Cyprians, and now he's going to end up attacking that. So 3-Crow completely missing the mark there, not realizing that his ally did not have the staying power to deal with the Protoss. And so now the this is, again, the old Goliath, right? It's got more range, and simulacrums aren't tanky as hell yet. But yeah, it's a little bit different now. So the workers are going to start to get heckled a little bit here. Cyprian shots are going to be cleaning this force up. There's nothing to absorb the Cyprian shells. And so that is a pretty easy cleanup. Feels like the idols could have focused on the Masons and dealt a lot of economic damage, actually. Although Hamster does have 4 worker queues. So it would have been transient, but it probably would have been better than, you know, getting a lot of your damage lost on the structures themselves and killing a couple of Cyprians. You know, Cyprians are pretty expensive, 50 gas a pop, so it doesn't suck. It's not nothing. Meanwhile, we've got still the same production for Benno. He's thinking about taking a natural, but not enough resources. It feels like in addition to losing his workers, he was also missing macro cycles, because we looked up at his worker count at 18 before this army actually started fighting, and it's probably like a minute and a half later or whatever, and he's only on 22 or whatever it was. So, you know, like that's, you know, 15 seconds a worker or what have you. And so, you know, that's... There's something about that just, you know, it doesn't quite seem right. And it feels like maybe it shouldn't have been quite so much. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's actually 14 seconds a worker. But, you know how it is. A cheeky anchor going to come in here and try to get out of dodge, but it's not going to be very successful. And that doesn't look like any workers were killed. And Hamster looking for go-go. Not the same GG that you were expecting. He's going to be charging ahead. And 3-Crow's going to go ahead and confirm. Yeah, we can do that. Shamans for the healing. Surprised that there's no, like, clerics in particular. Clerics are usually a little bit better at that. Now, 3-Crow is going to have to unpack his shamans and then move out, right? So, or I guess pack up his shamans and move out. He'll have to deploy them in the middle of the battle. We'll keep watch on that. Rogue Gallery coming for Benno. Still no expansion. Still no expansion. Up a little bit more on the worker side, but definitely hurting. No embassy, no nexus. His worker count very, very low. Now adding a Barghest for that armor penetration aura once it reveals itself. No nat. Yes, the Terrans are moving in from the top. It looks like maybe they'll be gunning for this one anchor that's got 3 Mavericks in it and the other anchor that's got nothing in it. So those are both short-lived. No dice on that one. Benno gonna go ahead and migrate his army around. You can see the anchors have lifted as SYPIAC tries to come up around with a flank. This is gonna be a pretty difficult force to get rid of. But you know what? The Barghest comes out. That's gonna help deal with the Goliaths for sure. Another pylon snipe. Again, Artosis pylon absolutely destroyed. But combined army of SYPIAC and benno should be enough to clear it. They do get rid of Hamster's forces. And this Nexus is being focused down. It doesn't look... I mean, benno doesn't have another Nexus, right? So what's he going to do about that situation? It looks like he cancels some units that were in production, including that. And he's just going to go ahead and start the Nexus. And look, Hamster wanted to maybe just to go for a kill there, but... I don't hate 3 Crows targeting, considering we know benno doesn't actually have a Nexus, right? This Huracan actually comes out here and clears out that Scribe that was going to be building a Nexus over in that situation. So benno is completely out of ability to train units and ability to harvest resources. His worker count is 20, so he still has some. Oh, it looks like he's going to go ahead and steal some of his allies' resources. You know, it's not the end of the world in that situation, I guess. And SYPIAC now just in the... unfortunate position of not really having too much there. So in Cosmonarchy, you can return resources to your allies' town centers, and that does give you the money. Whoever has the worker gets the money, is the way that you can think of it. These anchors completely empty, but that won't be the case for too long. Not quite able to find a magic spot with which to harass the workers. A couple bio units mixing in at this point. Looks like 3 Crows kind of moved off of mech for the time being. Still no expansion for him. Well, I say that. He does have some expansions being set up in the top right, so not entirely the case. And SYPIAC's small bioforce does get cleaned up there. That definitely feels like something he should have fallen away from. Wrecked. Absolutely annihilated. You can't just say that. Especially in public chat. You can't just BM your opponents. What are you doing? Vulture's coming out here for the 3 Fulcrums. Hamster going to get cleared out here, and 3 Crow going to go ahead and lay a lobotomy mine there. It doesn't block building anymore when you lay mines like that, but it does stun the worker when they're going to go ahead and drop the town center. So it can be pretty effective. Although versus Protoss, it's not quite as much. Looks like they're going to be trying to hit the orange natural here. SYPIAC and benno combining their forces. This is the most likely attack target in their minds, I suppose. Some wounded Cyclops apparently, not taking it out too far. Vargas are going to be really helpful here for benno and for the rest of his allies because they are going to help them chew through the Huracans. However, the Cyprians are now letting loose. They're clearing out all the air units. You can see the vassals dying sped up the Huracans to try to hit that backline, but it wasn't going to be quite enough. Is this actually going to be the death push, though? It feels like we've got more reinforcements coming from SYPIAC. It doesn't feel like this is the easiest of pushes to continue happening. And look at that. The Goliath getting sniped out by some Mavericks there. Not ideal for 3 Crow, who does have his base up in the top right. You know, if those bases got shut down, 3 Crow would probably feel pretty bad of it. But Hamster's economy is looking real good with 3 bases. And he's probably a little bit confused as to why his ally doesn't have any expansions that are actually mining. But, yeah, interesting. Fell back, by the way. And Tier 2 is on the way. I think because this replay must have been 3 Crows or Hamsters... SYPIAC typing this and it showing up in the replay means that he probably typed that in public chat. Yeah. I guess so. That's funny. This is our frequency. Well, as there's a little bit of a lull, I'll take this opportunity to take a sip of coffee and tell you about coffee. Coffee is pretty good. And you can go to coffee.com/Pentagon Week 7. In the bottom right, there is a link to that if you want to see it and read it and commit it to memory. And in the description of this video, you can even go there yourself. A little bit of a run by here for the mech, but it's not going to be too consequential, it looks like. Nice spread from SYPIAC to get a little bit more DPS out of his Mavericks, but surely there's a couple of units that can help clear this up. Yeah, it doesn't look like it'll stay alive for very long. Even the Cyprians helping clear that. And, well, you know, getting a couple of worker kills ain't the worst thing in the world. But SYPIAC has a pretty okay economy himself. He's slowly transferring up there. We are going to see the... No! The Scribe popped that Cyclops in the face. Disaster has struck. But anyway, yeah, donate on coffee. Asphalt bridges on Magma tileset, Ashworld tileset. I'd love to see that. Ashfault, actually. I feel like, isn't there a British guy? Sean Connery is not the one I'm thinking of, but his accent can be kind of funny like that, too. I remember listening to a British guy say asphalt before, anyway. It's kind of funny. This force is not actually a very defended position, as you can see. but it looks like Benno is getting ready to assist once the choke point is broken by Hamster's forces. Now, this move out is happening without 3-Crow actually coming along with the ride. 3 apostles are being made per rotation by Hamster. He's adding more captaincies. He's also expanding again, or making another ministry. It's not yet chosen where he wants to put that. And Benno engaging from the top rope there, trying to pick apart some of these Cyprians, and the Eidolons are doing pretty well, despite the fact that everything else has gone kaput. I can only imagine, oh no, I was going to say Hamster obviously having a little bit of struggle here. If Hamster had 3-Crow's army with that push, it might have ended the game, honestly. Like, Benno looking very weak. He's not even at 30 workers yet. He's not actually mining from his expansion yet. And so he's... I feel like every time I cast one of these team games, I've seen some 3v3s as well, and Benno's just absolutely, getting slapped on, you know what I mean? Benno sometimes has the worst of luck in these team games, where they just end up bopping him. And it's a little bit unfortunate for our German Protoss, who's actually switched to Terran for the qualifier of Acropolis number 2. I guess I should shill that as well, as long as I'm talking about current things for Cosmonarchy. You guys can sign up for that tournament if you so desire. And, as of right now, the signups are still open. They will be open until the 24th, 25th of October. That's somewhere around that range. So, and then, of course, there's going to be signups for the secondary round as well. So the secondary qualifier will also be open a week after that. So basically, as the first qualifiers signups get locked in, the second weeks will open up. So stay tuned for that. Well, of course, we'll be posting everywhere, shilling everywhere. 2 pesky Mavericks are causing some flummoxing, but a couple of Madcaps are going to come in here and enforce the rule of law. Absolutely slapped. Tier 2 beats Tier 1, dude. Not always true, but sometimes true. Lobotomy Mine hits. Classic move. A couple of Tier 2 units here for SYPIAC as well. He's adding some Sentinels. I do like his position with the Sentinels, but you got to remember that 3-Crow has the Phalanxes out, right? And so he's got a lot of money in the bank, but I will say everybody else has been kind of keeping their money relatively low, which is a little bit of a surprise. You can see the Cyprians trying their best to stand tall, but they're just going to get bopped. Gotta watch out, though. I mean, oh my god, the Cyprians are going to get shellacked by those Phalanxes. Each shot doing 4 or 5 kills sometimes. Huracan's doing their best, but it's not quite enough. And look at this. Benno's not going to be able to reinforce from a clean angle here, because look at where Hamster is kind of cutting off reinforcements from this position, allowing 3-Crow to siege. I do love that little collaboration between them. They're kind of getting split up over here, and the Madcaps are opening fire onto those Apostles, which don't have a lot of HP. Look at that, another Apostle going down. We only have 1 more Apostle here for the force multiplication, but it might be enough, because 3-Crow's army was mostly untouched during that whole engagement. And where's SYPIAC's reinforcements? He's got a bunch of stuff over here. Benno does as well, but it doesn't look like the 2 of them are really paying too much attention to that. And even though 3-Crow's got 3k minerals in the bank, it's not going to be quite enough. You can see Benno trying to step forward here, but as the natural gets fallen, is that going to be enough? I mean, are they going to be able to drive this back? It doesn't look like it, right? Especially since that one, a couple more reinforcements came in. Or maybe that's a reclaimed apostle. No, it's not. Okay, so there's a couple of apostles still here. Clerics over here in this position as well can definitely start healing these units. Heracles comes in forward, but that wasn't quite going to be good enough on just a regular rally. And the Cyprians are still in enough time. They can get rid of all of these air units so fast. There's never really was any Protoss splash. A Cantor's Architect, something like that would have gone a long way. And you can see SYPIAC kind of moving his units back and forth. He kind of recognizes at this point, there's not really that much left in the tank here. There's some Eidolons that are also hard to tell that 3-Crow has. There's an Cantor. We did end up getting to see one at the end of the game. I'm assuming this is the end. I can't imagine them busting up. I mean, yeah, they've got a bunch of captaincies, but I don't know. It would be a miracle hold, and he already lost his natural. Not looking too hot on that front. The stockades are being burned down by Huracans and shot down by Cyprians. The Phalanxes are coming in as well. A Cantor got a lot of good damage dealt before it expired here, but it is going to be put down eventually. And it doesn't look like our left team is going to be able to hold on. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little 2v2 cast. And it was pretty cool to see the... some of the team games in action, right? GGs are called all along, all around. Poor Benno got slapped, but that is how Benno does in some of these team games. And I just wanted to say that shout out to these guys for doing that, giving us a 2v2 to cast, even though it was a Flashback Friday 2v2. That's pretty cool still, and I am glad to have been able to show that. Oh yeah, the map was Amatasamala, which is a map by myself. It's named about as intelligibly as the Zerg name, so I hope you guys appreciate that. And yeah, we will be seeing more efforts on 2v2s and stuff after Acropolis number 2 is over. And then, maybe Acropolis 2 should have been a 2v2 and Acropolis 3 could have been 3v3. You know what I mean? We just keep raising the number up. But no, in actuality, we will almost certainly be seeing some more 2v2 stuff coming soon. So if you guys are interested in some of those compositions, you already saw some of those combinations where like the vassals dying sped up the Hierarchans. Like those are cool strategies. You can imagine the anchor shenanigans where you can put like a Lakizalisk in an anchor if you're in a team game, or you can obviously put, like not in a Cantor because they're too fat, but Dracodins or something like that for Protoss. I do remember the old strat of putting an Atreus inside an anchor. We called it the Flying Saucer and just leapfrogging with a bunch of those back when they did splash damage. So that was a fun time as well. Anyway, I hope you guys are excited for seeing some more shenanigans like that. Maybe if we get some 2v2s to cast, we'll mix them into the regularly scheduled programming, not have to wait for Flashback Friday for them. But nonetheless, that is where we find ourselves. GG boys, we'll be back very soon for more Cosmonarchy, so subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Remember to consider donating if you're interested in the project's development. You want to keep pushing that up a little bit more, and keep your eyes peeled for this tournament that's coming up. It's going to be sick. See you then.